It's noon here in Ventnor City, New Jersey, and our nation's capital, Washington, D.C., and this is CarEdge Live for Wednesday, October 8th, with your hosts, me, Ray, here in windy, wet, miserable Ventnor City, and Zach hanging out with the Saguaros in Arizona somewhere.
No, I'm in Washington, D.C., folks. Good to be back with you Wednesday, October 8th. Today's show, however, is brought to you by CarEdge.com. Buy a car without the headache. So much good stuff back on our website, whether it be shopping for new vehicles, used vehicles on our car search, or using our car buying services and CarEdge insights. Check it out and so much more back at CarEdge.com. Did an interview this morning, Dad, with CBS 5 in Arizona.
Yes.
That's why I'm wearing my Cardinals gear and the Arizona background. But the story this morning, Dad, this comes by way of Cox Automotive. Every single quarter, they provide us with these Manheim used vehicle value updates, these quarterly outlooks for what they're seeing in the new and used car market. And I have a huge update for Q4 2025 that could be making the case, Dad, that right now, heading into the fourth quarter, is the best time to buy a new or used vehicle. So what I want to jump into here, I'm going to scroll all the way down, is right there. While strong overall used vehicle market ends Q3 with worrying signs. So let me read some of this data out to you, and then we'll get your take on timing the new and used car market. They also provide some context here for new cars. So here we go, Pops. You ready?
Yes.
The used vehicle market remains strong. Cox Automotive is projecting used vehicle sales between 37.9 and 38.5 million cars for the year. So that's actually slightly up from where they were at the beginning of the year. That being said, there's some caution as we head into Q4. This comes from Jonathan Smoke, one of their head economists over there. Quote, the signs from the last few weeks are not promising. September ended with used vehicle prices at their highest point since the start of the year, yet used vehicle sales have seen a slowdown. And when coupling that with interest rates moving up, the picture for Q4 isn't the prettiest. We actually saw, Dad, some depreciation in used vehicle prices, which for a long period here, we haven't seen used vehicle prices come down. And we're seeing, if I scroll down even further, retail used vehicle sales actually going down while inventory is increasing. So let's just stick with used cars for a moment here.
Yes.
You've got inventories building up, you've got sales going down, and you've got the chief economist at Cox Automotive saying, you know what, the end of September looked pretty rough. I'm not super bullish about Q4. What's your take on this? Is there a best time to buy, and could it be right now?
Well, I would think it would be soonish if all their data is correct. And why I mean soonish and not like right this very minute is let the inventory levels build up a little more, let sales slow down a little more, let some of the inventory age, as most dealerships have an aging policy where the used car manager has to move his used car inventory every 60 to 90 days. Anything approaching 60 to 90 days either gets a huge price cut or gets sent to the auction. So if we saw inventories go up and sales go down in September, then you could extrapolate out that probably by November and December, if it continues along the same path, that, these dealers are going to have to lower the prices on their inventory at hand because that's the only way they're going to be able to sell it.
And think about it, on the used car side, you always have this kind of off or pressure shift. What the heck is the word I'm looking for? Off valve. I want to say off ramp. Off ramp. That was the word I was looking for. You have this off ramp, which is you take the cars to the auction. And for the longest time there, Dad, wholesale prices were actually going up, but they're not anymore. That's what we're finally starting to see, is wholesale prices are starting to depreciate again, which means you can't just turn and send something to the auction that you previously would have had to, discount to sell to a retail customer. Let's go early to a live experiment. Let's go to the CarEdge car search. I clicked on shop used. And one of the things I want to do here, Dad, is I want to come over here and I want to look at days on market as a filter. So what you were just saying is, what was it, the term policy you were describing?
The aging policy for most dealerships is somewhere between 60 and 90 days.
Okay, so why don't we look at vehicles that have been on dealers' lots for 100 to, wait for it, it's loading.
Well, in most cases, those dealerships would have gotten rid of those cars.
So that's what I want to look is 100 to 150 days. There are nationwide 204,000 used cars for sale right now that have been on dealers' lots between 100 and 150 days. So over what you're saying is the typical aging policy at a dealership. And what I'm interested in here, Dad, is like, let's just click on it. Let's see what happens. What I'm interested here is to look at the price history of this vehicle. So I'm going to come down. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, here's the price history chart for this particular vehicle. Let's just look at it in this format for a second. I mean, I think we can see exactly what you were just describing when we look at the price history of this first example. Talk us through what you're seeing here.
Well, originally when it was offered for sale back on August 26th, the listing price was $29,358. Today, it's $26,900. That's what, $2,400 difference, approximately $2,458 difference from when they first offered it for sale to what it is today, because, well, it is an aged unit. And, you know, I have worked for dealerships where the aging policy was very strict. At the Penske organization, it was typically 60 days at that time. And you could ask for an exception or two for some vehicles to keep them an extra 30 days to 90 days at the longest. But most well-run dealerships have an aging policy that requires the vehicles to be gone by a certain number of days that it's been sitting on the lot. So if there's dealerships out there that are holding on to these cars for 120, 100 or 100 and 150 days, yeah, you should see price reductions. And I would think, based on probably what's going on at the auctions at the moment, if they look at what they think they might be able to get for, say, that Bronco at the auction right now, perhaps they would be better off just taking a shorter deal from a customer.
Yeah.
And they won't lose nearly as much money.
So look at this, Dad. Here's another vehicle. This time it's a 2022 Jeep Grand Cherokee, but the same dealership group. And what I want you to see here is, look at that. The current price is $33,500, but they'd previously had it up in the 34s. And so it's a good example here from the same dealership group that's operating in a way where, obviously, to your point, the longer they sit on this inventory, they just have to go down on price. And what's interesting is when we look at the data, so again, I'll pull back up what we have from Cox Automotive, they're showing us in black and white here that vehicle sales are going down, inventory is increasing, and we are finally starting to see on the used car side at the wholesale auctions prices decline instead of appreciate. That is why you can come into a show like today and say that this really is a huge update for the used car market as we head into the fourth quarter of 2025. Those examples that we just shared, what was it, Dad? The total number was like
204,000.
Yeah, there are 204,769 used cars for sale nationwide that have been on dealers' lots for over 100 days, but less than 150 days. That's the sweet spot right now. Like, if you are shopping for a used car, please, folks, go use the CarEdge car search, go click on shop used, and set that filter 100 to 150 days. These are the cars that are already being discounted. And keep me honest here, Dad, if I'm a customer and I reach out to you and I'm serious, I'm asking for the out the door price, I'm showing legitimate interest, I probably have some negotiating leverage, right? Because it is sitting there longer. I do know inventory is building, and I know sales have been down.
Absolutely. I don't know how many times we have done videos where I have said, as a customer, if you go into a dealership, and whether it be a new car or a used car, ask for the oldest vehicle in inventory. If it's a used car, say, what are your overaged used cars that you're looking to get rid of, that you might be willing to take an even shorter deal than what the advertised price is. And trust me, the used car manager has placed a spiff on those vehicles to get rid of them.
Explain what a spiff is, because that's some lingo that I'm not sure everyone knows.
A spiff is an extra bonus that you get for selling certain vehicles that have been hard to sell. So the used car manager might say, on an aged vehicle like that, the minimum commission will be $500, and the average commission might only be $250 or $300, or the used car manager might say the minimum commission is whatever the minimum commission is, but there's a $300 spiff on top of that, a $300 bonus on top of that for selling that vehicle. And typically there is a list. And at most dealerships, when it comes to used cars, the list shouldn't be all that long if they're doing their job right. But there could be 4 or 5 cars that might be on that list that the used car manager is desperate to get rid of and has added this extra bonus to whatever salesperson sells it. And the same happens on the new car side.
Well, one more example for used cars, just to show that this is geographically kind of happening everywhere. So I went on the CarEdge car search and I changed the zip code over there on the left, right above my dad's head, to Scottsdale, Arizona, where I used to live, where we used to live.
Yes.
Back in Arizona, whatever. I can't zoom in on. There you go. 85254, right there above his head. And Dad, you've got here still 204,000 used cars for sale. And I don't know, which one do you want to click on? We could literally click on any of them.
Just click.
Let's do this Honda Accord right here. Got a bunch of miles on it. Wow. Okay, so we've got a 2020 Honda Accord EXL. Again, these are live experiments. Let's see what happens here.
How many miles?
70. Where was it?
77?
70, almost 72.
72. Okay.
A lot of miles.
Well, it's a pretty wide valley.
This is an interesting price history chart, actually. So they originally listed it. Let's go all the way back. Man, they've had this one for a while.
You can't go back to 2022.
No. I'm going back to 2025. So they originally listed it at 24,220.
In March.
So let's try and understand this. They lowered the price. They jacked the price back up. They lowered the price. They jacked the price back up.
Yeah, it would seem to me that maybe they're using it as a price leader and they have absolutely no intention of ever selling it at whatever the advertised price is. I don't know. I mean, I don't know why you'd be sitting on a car for 7 months. It doesn't. It is a pre-owned car. Typically, other than in COVID times, a pre-owned car is not appreciating in value.
Yeah,
it is depreciating in value from the moment you either buy it at the auction or you trade it at the dealership.
But Dad, I think there's actually a really easy story here.
Okay, I want to hear
this. This vehicle, let's scroll all the way down. This is at Bell Road Toyota.
Okay.
This is potentially how Bell Road Toyota just so happens to price their used vehicle inventory. And the reason I say that is because I picked on a different vehicle here that we can look at together. This is at AutoNation CDJR, in North Phoenix.
Okay.
Now look at how they priced this particular vehicle, which they've had 142 days.
Okay.
Much more reasonable price history here.
You mean it starts high and goes down?
I mean, look at this. They listed it for sale back in May at $27,216.
Yes.
The current advertised price for that same vehicle is $4,000 less at $23,162.
Oh, that would be the normal way of doing it.
Right. So I think this could actually just be like, I look back again at this Honda that we were looking at, which is at that one dealership. They seem to be playing the price drop notification game.
Could be.
They raise the price on Tuesday, drop the price on Wednesday. The customer or the user gets a notification price drop, come into the dealership, buy the vehicle. Versus this dealership, this AutoNation dealership, this is textbook. I mean, again, we do this stuff live, so I didn't like cherry pick this. This is textbook what you described, Dad. Every couple weeks, they were lowering the price by a few $100, all the way to the place where it's $4,000 less today than it was in May.
And here's the really interesting part. Hasn't worked for either one of them.
It is fascinating though. Like, look at this chart.
Yes.
Compared to, this is so interesting. I love doing this live.
Yeah, I mean
this chart. These are two used cars that both dealerships have been holding on to for between 100 and 150 days. Two totally different styles of how they're pricing it to try and sell it. So fascinating.
And one in the AutoNation store, that one is the norm, let's say, as opposed to the other one. And I can't imagine, I really can't, at AutoNation, that they would ever allow one of their dealerships to keep a used car for 150 days. I just, small mom and pop stores, medium-sized mom and pop stores, I worked for some, where we believe that our used car inventory was like a fine wine, and it would only get better with age, and that ultimately we would, regardless of how many days it took, whether it was a year or 2 years, ultimately we would have the only one left in the country that was available, and somebody would have to pay our price if they wanted it.
Yeah.
Now, that doesn't make good sense to me, especially if you have $30,000 or $20,000 tied up in something, and you're waiting 2 years to get a return on that investment. Just seems foolish to do it that way. And I can't for the life of me believe an organization as big as AutoNation would give their used car managers or their general managers enough rope to allow them to keep their used car inventories 150 days. It just, I'm telling you, the Penske organization, it was a strict 60-day turn.
Yep.
And if it wasn't retailed in 60 days, it either went to our internal auction that was done where we had used car buyers come in and bid on the vehicles on, I believe it was Tuesdays, or it went to the auction and it was disposed of, because the Penske organization realizes that you're limiting your return on your investment the longer you hold it.
Definitely. Dad, we're going to put it to the test, and then we're going to talk about the new car market here. So for those of you that have been waiting, new cars coming soon. Another feature that we have back on the CarEdge car search. So again, I'm on shop used. I've set the days on market. So how long has the vehicle been sitting? Between 100 and 150 days. Dad, I've also come now down to the dealership filter here, and I've typed in Penske. So now we're looking at Penske dealerships that have inventory in this area. So I'm going to choose Penske Honda. I guess that's over in Indianapolis. Let's not do that. Let's go vehicles for sale. Or actually, Dad, what was one of the Penske dealerships? Because it'll show up as like Acura North Scottsdale, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So let's do Acura North Scottsdale. That was the dealership that you used to run.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can get it to come up here. McLaren Scottsdale, Acura of North Tampa. No. Scottsdale? Interesting. I'm not seeing that pop up. But why don't we do BMW of North Scottsdale? Is that okay?
Yeah.
All right.
That was all part of the same campus.
Yep. So let's see how this Penske dealership, BMW, you want to do, I don't know. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do a 2025. Let's do a slightly older one. Wow, they have a lot of used 2025s with 0 miles.
Retired service loaners.
Holy shoot. Look at all of them.
They're retired. But what you have to realize, especially with BMW, and now that they have inventory again,
so many of these are 26s too.
They ask their dealers to dump a poop ton of cars into service loaner fleet, and they're allowed to turn them as quickly as they want.
What is going
that's
on?
why you'd have so many.
Yeah, but Dad, all of their used car inventory between 100 and 150 days are service loaners. I don't have a single one in here that isn't a service loaner.
Okay, so those are probably the exception to the rule.
Okay, but let's look at Audi here. Let's see. Oh my gosh, Audi's going to be the same thing. We just proved exactly what you said, which is Penske doesn't let their dealers hold used car inventory more than 60 days.
If
All of
you
the ones that are over 100 days are all service loaners. This is so interesting.
go to McLaren North Scottsdale, go to Ferrari North Scottsdale. Those would be the only stores, and maybe the Porsche store,
Yeah, you
where
can
they
see.
would allow the occasional exception because, well, you can't replicate the vehicle.
You know, Dad, that's why Acura didn't show up in the filter there, because there's zero.
More than likely.
Wow, this is so interesting. So interesting. Okay, well, anyway, folks, the point is, obviously use the used car search. It's really compelling what you're able to figure out in there. But the point is, the longer these vehicles sit, some dealerships don't even allow their dealers to have it, aka Penske is a good example of that. Other dealers have very clear linear downward trends of price discounts, and other dealers are going to try and get you on the price drop notification. No matter how you slice it and dice it, inventory is building back up on the used car side slowly but surely, and sales are down. Gives you, the customer, leverage, especially on that aged inventory. Wow, 20 minutes of just used car market talk. I like that. You want to talk new cars for a second?
Okay, just but only for a second.
The headline here from Cox Automotive: new vehicle sales decrease in September. Sales pace remains steady. So here's what's interesting.
Yes.
September had a lot of new car sales because of, drum roll please, electric vehicles.
Yes.
That being said, sales were actually off 14.2% from August to September. And that includes the huge pull ahead in people buying electric vehicles, which we know goes away now that we're in October. And so, Dad, the new car market has growing inventory even more rapidly than the used car market. And there was a pull ahead in demand for electric vehicles last month that no longer exists here in October. I think the new car market, we've talked about it for a long time, the best time to buy a new car is the fourth quarter of the year. It's setting up to be a pretty strong buyer's market, I think, in Q4 2025.
And any number of the manufacturers have already said, when it comes to their EVs, we're just going to discount our vehicles by the amount of and so
I don't even want to talk EVs, man. It's such a small portion. All the pull ahead, EV schmeevy. The majority of the market are these ICE vehicles, these hybrid vehicles, and they have an oversupply of those too.
I'm just saying that in an effort to not have EV sales fall off a cliff because of the end of the federal tax credits, that many of the manufacturers have decided, at least for a month, to continue the program, but they're funding it themselves, and they're doing it by just offering an additional $7,500 discount on a purchase or a lease. And when I see that, it says to me, what the hell were we underwriting the program for in the first place?
I don't want to talk about EVs.
I know you don't want to talk about EVs,
man. I just said I don't want to.
So I just wanted to make that point. That's all. Okay? Sometimes you just have to allow me to make my point, and we can move on.
All we talked about, folks, if you tuned into the show in September, was EV this, EV that, EV this, EV that. We're finally done with freaking EVs. The government's not underwriting them anymore. To your point, the manufacturers are the ones that have to do it now. But, Dad, 90% of the market are non-electric vehicles. And what are we seeing? Month over month, sales in the auto industry for new cars were down 14.2%. We know inventory is building up. It's inventory of hybrids and ICE vehicles because the automakers have already stopped production of these electric vehicles. They knew they weren't selling. They knew they weren't going to be producing more of them. Here you go. These EVs have been canceled or postponed in the U.S. So the big story here, Dad, the big story. I'm teeing you up, baby. The big story.
The big story. What's the big story?
Is it actually the best
time? Them saguaros behind you.
Is it actually the best time to buy a new car? I'm giving you the floor. Is it actually the best time to buy a new car? We just painted the case for why the used car market's looking interesting in Q4. What about new cars, Dad? Not EVs.
It will be. It will be. It always is. The fourth quarter is always the best time. That's when the manufacturers throw the most money towards incentives. Is it now? No, it'll be November and December. Those are the two best months. And the best time to buy a new car or a used car is the week between Christmas and New Year's. Hasn't changed, probably won't change, probably will be that way forever, because everybody is pushing to hit sales goals, whether it be the manufacturers, whether it be the individual dealerships, whether it be the individual salespeople in dealerships. And so there is so much emotion tied up in hitting these goals that oftentimes dealers will take a deal or two that they would have never considered during any other time of the year.
And I think what's interesting to me, Dad, is if we look at where we are right now, what information we have to inform what we expect to see happen in November and December, it's weakening. There's weakness in the new car market. You cannot tell me that you have all this pull ahead demand in September for all the reasons we've noted, and yet still sales are off almost 15% month over month. So there is a little bit of foreshadowing that I think we are privileged enough to be able to do, to say, hey, there's weakening going on, which should set us up for huge incentives, big discounts, lots of negotiating leverage for buyers as we head into the end of the fourth quarter. And I will do live experiment here in a second, but I want to hear your reaction to that.
Well, I think that some of the manufacturers are indicating by what they're doing on the EV side of things that they are going and are willing to highly incentivize the sale of new vehicles moving forward. I understand the extra cost to move those EVs, but I think they're going to find themselves in a position where they're going to have to throw extra money at non-EVs. And I think by what they're doing towards the EVs, we're seeing that there is a willingness to do that. That some of these manufacturers have decided it is time to increase our market share, and the only way they know how to do it is to buy it. And what do I mean by that? They increase the incentives dramatically in order to make such a compelling story that the customer goes, I don't know how to say no to that.
Yeah, I think you're right, Dad. But let's do a little bit of live experimentation right now. So now, instead of shopping for used cars, I clicked on shop new. And what I'm interested here, Dad, is I actually want to see what the incentives are and also what the advertised prices have been for particular vehicles. Do you have a particular make and model that you're interested in looking at, Dad?
I'm thinking, I don't know. I don't. I have, no.
I'm curious what Jeep's up to, because we know they've been struggling trying to recapture some market share, things like that. So let's look at new Jeeps, and let's do similarly to what we were looking at before. I'm not going to look at the dealership filter right now. I want to do days on market. I'll say up to 150 days on market, between 100 and 150 days. Let's see here. Give it a second to load. Okay, so now we're looking at, there are almost 20,000 new Jeeps for sale nationwide that have been sitting on dealers' lots between 100 and 150 days. And I just want to click on, I'll click on this first one here. Wow, what an expensive vehicle. What I'm curious about here, Dad, is two things. One are the incentives, and the other would be the price history. So I'm going to come down here. Yeah, and the market day supply as well, 274. That's really high. That means there's a lot of negotiating leverage as a customer. Oh my, what is going on here? Okay.
Well, it's a Jeep dealer.
Yeah, and I think what they're probably doing, let's go back even further. Let's see. Yeah, this is a pattern of their behavior. They just jack the price all around to probably do price drops. So that's an interesting one. Let's look at the incentives, however.
What store is that? Just out of curiosity.
This was, let's see, Air Park Dodge Chrysler Jeep. We're going to look at a different one in a moment.
Yeah.
But Dad, look at this. The incentives aren't even that good. The lease incentive right now is
terrible.
effectively a 6.72% APR. That's bad.
That's terrible. That's worse than bad.
Wow. Okay, so let's go back. So let's not look at that dealership. Let's look at a different dealership now. So that was Air Park. Let's look at the AutoNation one.
Sure.
All right. So this AutoNation dealership has 56. Or Dad, look at Bill Luke. They have 105 Jeeps that are new that have been sitting for 100 to 150 days. That's such great intelligence. You want to know which dealership has the most age inventory? There it is. It's Bill Luke, Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, and Ram. This is what I love about the CarEdge car search. But let's click on, how about this one? 114 days on the lot. Dude, what are they doing here? Why are they playing the price drop game? It's really annoying.
Well, maybe because the incentives are not that good so far for October.
Oh my God, they're really bad.
Okay, maybe that has something to do with it.
So what happens if you're Jeep, Dad, and you look mid-month at your sales and
Yeah,
you're seeing nationwide your dealers are not selling cars, and you
yeah,
know it's because the incentives suck? What are
yeah,
they going to do? They're going to, to
and
your point,
so
they're going to have to jack up the incentives.
well, that happens. I spent enough time in retail automotive to see the brands that I represented suddenly on the 15th of the month go, well, the month didn't start out quite the way we would have liked, so we've decided to offer this incentive or that incentive to try and jumpstart things. So it happens. They're trying to evaluate what it is that they're going to need to do to move the metal.
Yeah.
And we're only the 8th day of the month. Give them a
early.
little bit of time. Yeah, give them a little time to figure it out. Certainly it should never be quite as bad as it had been 2 years ago for Jeep.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens.
But I think it's an interesting experiment and kind of indicative of what's going on in the auto industry. And I like from space here, they're resetting their rankings on the car listing websites. Yeah, that's what we see with all these price movements and things like that. Quickly for Jen, what do we say about used cars? You have some leverage, which is a change in the used car market. Used car sales on the retail side were down. Inventory is slowly starting to build back up, and wholesale prices are going down. That means our advice to you is wait or find vehicles that are 100 to 150 days on the market. Really anything past 60 days is kind of where my dad's saying you have an opportunity because the dealership's feeling pressure to sell that used car. And on new cars, we expect December to be the best deals, the best opportunities, but we're starting to see some weakening in the new car market, which gives us confidence to say that the market conditions will get better for shoppers and quite frankly, worse for dealers and automakers, which is a good thing for those of you that want to save some money. Now, final thing on saving some money. If we can help you with anything, today on the show, we used a lot of the tools back on CarEdge.com. This is what we do day in, day out. We help thousands of people save money. So please, 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 folks, check out CarEdge.com and learn a little bit more about why so many people turn their attention to us to get the help they need when it comes to buying a new or used vehicle. Pops, that's all I had for today. Do it again tomorrow.
Excuse me. That would be my plan. Absolutely. And I'm actually looking forward to it.
I am too. All right, folks, we'll be back tomorrow. I love you, Pops.
Love you too, handsome. Good seeing you again.
Likewise.
Like that jersey. Yeah.